what's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike is here, and we are in Season 4 of Award Season Reviews, counting down to the 98th Academy Awards with 98 reviews in 98 days. Quick reminder before we jump into today's film, please make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these last few awards coming your way. We're getting ready to almost wrap up our 13th theme week. It is the other side of awards week. Before we get to the final countdown of the last batch of Oscar-nominated films, we're going to take a look at those that didn't quite receive that same recognition. But we're not here to judge these films that were also nominated for at least one Razzie Award. We are here to see what actually didn't connect with them and, see if the criticism fits. Today, I am looking at Tron Ares, written by Jesse Wigutow, based on a story by Wigutow and David DiGilio, and based on characters by Steven Lisberger and Bonnie MacBird, and directed by Joachim Rønning. The film released in theaters last fall. Set in a near-future world where the boundaries between the digital and the physical realms are starting to blur. Tron Ares centers on the tech race between two very powerful companies determined to achieve what we once thought was impossible, bringing digital beings permanently into the real world. At ENCOM, CEO Eve Kim, played by Greta Lee, and her colleague Seth Flores, played by Arturo Castro, are on one side, with Eve trying to finish her sister's work, which stems from that of longtime franchise character Kevin Flynn, played by Jeff Bridges. And on the other side is longtime ENCOM adversary Dillinger Systems, led by now the young Julian Dillinger, played by Evan Peters, alongside his mother Elizabeth, played by Gillian Anderson. Now, Dillinger seems to have accomplished the unbelievable. Enter Ares, played by Jared Leto. Ares is a powerful digital program designed as a kind of expendable soldier capable of operating both inside and outside of the grid. This is his creation. However, these beings can only exist for a short amount of time before they dematerialize and head back into the grid. Both corporations need something to advance this work, and that is the don't love this writing, the permanence code. Through research, Eve is able to find it first, which sets her straight in Julian's path, who will stop at nothing to get it. As Eve tries to defend herself from the constant attacks by Dillinger, Dillinger just keeps sending Ares and his right-hand fighter Athena, played by Jodie Turner-Smith, to get her. Now, Eve had destroyed the permanence code, so now they need to take Eve into the grid and extract the code from her. However, after one interaction, Ares sees something in Eve, and all of a sudden he has an attack of conscience. And then, in a Pinocchio-style story shift, he decides that he wants a permanence code, not for his boss, but so that he can be real. And this will then go into this very big all-out battle where lines will be drawn, acquaintances become foes, foes become acquaintances, and Center City will never be the same again. One thing I genuinely appreciated about Tron Ares is how timely its central idea feels, right? Think about some of the other sci-fi films that we've had recently, or even War of the Worlds, which I talked about yesterday. Not a great film, but an interesting concept. That growing anxiety surrounding how AI is coming about, it asks a pretty unsettling question. What happens if digital intelligence finds its way to come into our world permanently? That concept alone gives the film a strong foundation. Greta Lee does a very good job anchoring the story as Eve Kim, and the film wisely gives her just enough backstory to make her motivations understandable without getting bogged down in too much exposition. It really helps the audience connect with her fairly quickly, which is important when the story begins moving at the rapid pace that it does. The supporting cast also brings some fun energy to the film. Evan Peters clearly understands the assignment. He leans nicely into his corporate villain role. There's a confident edge to his performance that works well within, the larger world of this story. Jared Leto, He's kind of a mixed bag for me. I know he's been very vocal about how much he loves the Tron franchise, but there were moments where the performance felt a little phoned in. Maybe that's intentional given the nature of the character that he plays. But it does make Ares feel slightly less dynamic than what you would hope for a central character in a story like this. I'll get into a little bit more of that when I talk about the awards. Where this film absolutely shines, though, is the visuals. The effects team, they were right on board, from competing grid environments to the light cycle races to some of the larger mechanical designs that almost look like, these War of the Worlds type spacecrafts. The scale and imagination on display are very impressive. Jeff Cronenweth's cinematography does a really nice job capturing that scale, especially in the action sequences that often feel like a high-end video game come to life. Christine Baselin Clark's costume work on the updated grid designs also deserves a shout out. The suits are very sharp and striking and feel like a nice evolution of what we've seen before with this franchise over the last, almost 40 years? My biggest issue ultimately, though, kind of lands with the script. Like I said, the idea of the permanence code is interesting, but naming something of itself, it's a little too on the nose. It reminded me of the, for those that have been watching me, my Avatar takes, the unobtainium. And while I did appreciate, the film's tighter runtime, at an hour and 50 minutes, the movie really moves. But it pushes the needle between the Ares and Eve relationship a little bit harder than the story has time to properly develop. Now, let's talk about box office and awards. After its theatrical run, the film made $73,161,014 domestically, with an additional $69,088,969 internationally, for a worldwide total of $142,249,983. A lot of money, but still a box office disappointment for Disney. The film was divided, with 269 critical reviews, giving the film a 53% on the tomato meter, but from over 5,000 audience reviews, it has an 84% on the popcorn meter. So fans like this film. Award season-wise, it's nominated for 1 Razzie. Worst Actor for Jared Leto. I did agree with that nod with Morbius a few years ago, but here, I don't know, I don't agree with that. Look, he's playing a computer program and has a disconnected air. Jodie Turner-Smith kind of had the same deadpan droll. I think they were doing exactly what they needed to do. Also, the film received biggest disappointment of the year from the Golden Schmoes Awards. A nomination? No. This was not that bad. And while it didn't receive any Oscar recognition, worth noting, this film was shortlisted for 3 categories. Visual effects, which I, think it should have been in. Best song and best score. A few other highlights for the film. It was nominated for Best Sci-Fi Film, Film Music, and Makeup by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, and a Guild Award. The Costume Designers Guild nominated Tron Ares for excellence in sci-fi fantasy costuming. So where do I land? I was a little, look, I'm entertained. I'm on the middle ground here. This is a 3-star film. The action sequences are solid. I'm not bogged down in backstory. And some of the performances were entertaining. What were your thoughts? If you haven't seen this one, head over to Disney+, check it out, and let me know in the comments. Thank you all for joining me for episode 89 of Award Season Review Season 4. We've only got 9 days left. Single digits. Stay with me. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Drop your thoughts in the comments. You can follow me everywhere on social platforms, on Letterboxd, and of course, head over to my website, cinephilemike.com, for even more reviews and movie goodies. Until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.